is up, internet? It's your boy Alan back with another video, and today I want to talk about why you need to fail more in your life. You know what they say, right? Everything you want in life is going to be usually on the other side of discomfort, or basically, growth really lies outside your comfort zone. It's basically saying that the most rewarding aspects of life, such as lasting fulfillment, deep relationships, success, personal growth, they rarely come easily. They rarely come easy, and they often require you to push past fear, failure, vulnerability. I personally think that failure is really the best teacher in life. From my experience, if you're not failing, you're not going to be getting better, because every failure gives you a signal on what you need to improve. And right, like I mentioned earlier, most things in life that are worth having are on the other side of discomfort. So in this video, I want to share a few failures that have really helped me level up as a person. So number one failure for me was getting my very first full-time job in technology marketing as a marketing specialist. And for a lot of people that go to college and then graduate, right, the most obvious or usual step people take is to get a full-time job in whatever domain they have the skills and interests in pursuing. And some of the biggest challenges for people in getting that first full-time job is, hey, you need experience to get this job, but you just got out of college, so you don't have experience. So how are you going to get a job if the job requires you to have experience but you don't have it? And in my case, I was looking to get an entry-level marketing role after I graduated college, and specifically in technology marketing. And I had a few internships under my belt in digital marketing and product marketing. And while those experiences were very valuable and still were a great basis for my resume, I probably applied to 200 plus jobs. I got dozens of interviews, and I failed at basically every step of the hiring process until ultimately I was able to land my very first full-time role as a marketing specialist at a Series B database analytics company, where I was getting paid $65,000 a year. And that was really a big achievement for me, because the job interview process is a very painful one, a lot of highs and lows. But for me, obviously, getting rejected so many times until I finally got my first full-time job was not easy. But after every single interview I had, right, I think one of the hardest things is to get the interview right. So you need to figure out a way to optimize your resume, talk to friends and family in the certain domains that you want, and ask them for feedback on how I can improve my resume. You can also look up online on best practices on how to resume. Now there's AI that can help you write a resume, right? So that's one of the first steps. Is specifically for me, I had to optimize my resume, use the right keywords, and have the correct way to have the bullet points written on the resume to ultimately land interviews, right? And then once I began landing interviews, once I had the resume lined up to land interviews, I was getting consistent interview flow. And then from the interview process, you hop onto the recruiter screens. They ask the usual questions, like, tell me about yourself. Da 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 da. Why do you want this role? Da 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 da. Right? You're able to refine your storytelling skills and basically pitch yourself and position yourself in the right way that would resonate with recruiters, so they can ultimately pass you on to the next one, right? But maybe it took me 3 or 4 recruiter screens to finally nail that pitch. And then from there, I was able to go to the next round, which is usually the hiring manager screen. I've done I probably did a dozen hiring manager screens in my quest of landing my very first tech marketing job. And from there, I was able to understand what are the usual questions they began to ask me, right? They're like, why do you want this role? Why this company, right? And I was able to prepare questions and answers for that specific part of the hiring manager step, right? And it took me many failures of talking to hiring managers and not getting the role. And then from there, I'm able to understand, like, oh, you have to self-reflect and analyze, okay, this one may be one of the reasons why I didn't get the job. I didn't describe this clearly. I didn't make it clear why I really wanted this role. I didn't do research on the company. And then from there, you can take those learnings into your next hiring manager screen and prepare for that. And once you're able to level up from there, you're able to, pitch yourself in the right way and talk to the hiring manager in the correct way. We're able to get passed on the next round, and the next round, and the next round. But you need to be able to reflect and learn from each failure, because if not, you're going to be stuck at that same step. You might just, if you're not learning, right, from your failures, you're going to be stuck at the recruit screen, right? You need to take those learnings and what you learned to the hiring manager level, right, and then so on and so forth. Using that process of taking those failures and those learnings, improving, and I was finally able to land my very first tech marketing job, right? And then, even through all those different failures, of one of the biggest challenges for new hires is, hey, you don't have experience, so we're not going to hire you. So how are you going to get that experience? On my end, what I ended up doing was I created an e-commerce store where I was basically reselling San Francisco souvenirs online. That store ultimately, I think only 2 of my friends bought the items from the store, and I shipped it to them via USPS. So I wouldn't say it was a success at all, because my friends just bought it for me, but the action of showing that initiative that I started e-commerce store, started marketing it, right? Those stories, that action allowed me to tell those stories during job interviews, right? So, and what ultimately helped me land my internship was, first I had what ultimately helped me land my full-time job was I had that internship experience, like I mentioned, but also I showed that initiative that, hey, I'm a self-starter. I started this e-commerce business selling San Francisco souvenirs targeted at the rest of the US and even the world that aren't able to have access to these souvenirs. But now it's way different because of Amazon, whatever. But that initiative and my prior experience was able to show the hiring manager as well as the rest of the team at this Series B startup that I would be a good fit for the role, because working at a startup requires scrappiness, entrepreneurial spirit, and being a self-starter. And I showed all those things, and I was able to land my very first role in technology marketing. One of the second failures, it's a continual failure cycle, is content creation. I made my first YouTube video 10 plus years ago just for fun as a vlog. I love to document my life. Want to make a vlog. I think it was day in life of a college freshman at Oregon State, and that video did relatively well. But I continued to make videos, so on and so forth, just for fun. And I care about the views, but not really, until I made videos inconsistently for 10 years, and then when I got laid off from my product marketing job in AI 3 or 4 months ago now, I began taking content creation more seriously, because it's something I'm really passionate about, something I enjoy doing. But also, when you're making content, you want people to see it. You want the views give you this dopamine rush, and you just want to see it. And a goal of mine now is to create a second income stream for myself. And this is one way I plan on doing that, with content creation right here. And to be able to monetize, you have to hit certain engagement metrics on YouTube to get to that point, which I'm doing right now. And that's why it's important. That's why I care about engagement metrics now. And, I've been making videos, and when a video flops and doesn't do well, frankly, it doesn't feel too good. It's a failure to me on my end. Like, oh my God, this video only got 10 likes, less than 600 views. I'm like, what a flop. I'm never going to reach my goal. Yada, yada, yada. It's kind of a spiral you should go. I'm like, oh my God, like, my videos suck. They're absolute trash. Like, I'm never going to be able to reach my goal of trying to get monetized on YouTube. But once you let those emotions calm down, you kind of begin to self-reflect and analyze on, like, how can I make this video better, right? Like, is the hook not good? Was the audio dog shit? Was the video quality not good? Is the story bad, right? You can begin to look at these things, analyze the metrics on YouTube, but also go with the touch and feel of your intuition, right? I think that's important. Like, obviously you can look at the metrics on how to optimize, like, watch rate click-through rates, but then there's like this human intuition to it. So once you start analyzing and reflecting and naturally being curious on how to improve your craft, like me improving these videos, you know, you can watch videos online, watch YouTube shorts, blogs. There's a lot of good knowledge on like how you can improve videos. Like I read something online, or I think I saw something online like, hey, you should add subtitles to your videos, because that makes your videos more engaging, which increases retention and makes viewers watch more, have a higher likelihood of watching till the end of the video, and the algorithms really care about completion rate of the video, and that allows the algorithm to push your video more, right? So those are just some things, right? Like I post a video, I think about like, wow, that video didn't perform very well, like what are the reasons why? Then you can begin to do some market research on best practices on how to improve your videos, but there's also a touch and feel from learning from your past content that didn't do well or did well, and those learnings ultimately compound into you making a better video each time, just getting 1% better, making those videos each time better, right? And that allows you to ultimately reach that goal, or my goal, right? Specifically trying to get monetized, which I'm still working towards. Even though content creation is a continuously failure cycle, I'm always continuously improving. You know, I've been making videos for 10 plus years. I guess there's no marginal metric for failure here, but my videos I was not growing my subscriber base at all, right? I was probably stuck at 300 subscribers for 10 years. And then now, speaking to you now, I'm probably at 730 subscribers. And I probably gained almost 100 subscribers the last week, right? That might have taken me 3 or 4 years in the past. So those failures have taught me so much on how to continuously improve these videos, and you need to be able to put content out there, see what works and what doesn't work, because if you're not putting out content out there because you're scared to fail, then you're not going to be able to get those signals to understand like, hey, this, for me, this content kind of works, this doesn't work, right? You need to put things out into the market or to the algorithm to see where you fit. The last story of failure I want to talk about is growing up, I was a shy Asian guy, and you know, especially when it came to dating and girls, I would get super nervous. I would get super shy, just not sure what to exactly say or how to behave. You know, if I want to date a girl and build a long-term loving relationship, right, or even just go on a date and build something, you know, I'm gonna have to get over my fear of talking to girls, which I was so nervous about as a young boy. If you're too shy or too nervous to talk to a girl, you're probably never, it's gonna be really hard for you to get a girlfriend. And for me, the steps I took were, first, let me figure out how to improve my social skills and be more charismatic and talkative, or just to be yourself, essentially. But being yourself actually takes a lot more work than just being yourself. There's a lot more to it, even though it sounds that simple. But what I began doing was, hey, there's a bunch of YouTube videos from a bunch of different people making videos on how to be more confident and charismatic and going on dates with girls. Obviously, you can pick and choose what advice works for you, because there's different strokes for different folks. And I found a few folks that worked for me. And then it also came down to just reading blogs online, reading books about dating was really helpful to understand, you know, how people in the past, you know, have talked to girls, went on a date with girls, ultimately achieved whatever relationship goals they had. So I began reading those books. And then it becomes down to implementing all the knowledge and research you've had, right? Because you need to see what works for you and what doesn't work for you, and that usually comes with failure. So the number one step for me was, hey, I'm started downloading apps, right? Tinder, Bumble, Hinge, and you can see where your profile works, where your profile doesn't work, what market works, and then you can test out different prompts, different ways to present yourself online. That's just one way you can begin to up your dating volume from my experience. And then number two was, I personally like to go out and have fun, like to go to bars, clubs, concerts, right? And I think this is the more streamlined approach in dating apps. And if you're getting burnt out from doing this, I did this a lot. but it's just approaching girls and talking to them at concerts. There's a lot of different signals you pick up when you're there. Eye contact is a big one, or just starting a friendly conversation as well. But that also, being in real life environment, you have to get over your fear of failure or rejection. Like, you could bring up a conversation to a girl at a festival, like, hey, who's this DJ? Have you heard of him before, or something? It's just like a simple starter, right? Like, she could just like totally brush you off. But you have to be confident in yourself on the next go around, that the next girl you talk to might be more receptive to that, or you gotta change your line, right? Then maybe that line doesn't work. Let's try something else. Let's try this line, let's try this line, right? And then from there, right, like, you can begin to have normal conversations. If you build a connection, you can ask them on a date, exchange numbers or social media, and then from there, like, for me, like, hey, like, I did these steps, download the apps, going on dates, I'm talking to girls in person now, and then you kind of move to the next step, which is going on the date, right? Like, when I first began dating, I struggled a lot to get past the first one or two dates, right? There's certain behaviors of, like, maybe me being too needy, or too much approval seeking behavior, or just not being myself, being what the girl wants me to be, right? Those are all failures I had to go through, where I'm able to finally bridge that gap of building a deep relationship besides one or two dates. Like, I went on so many first or second dates, just getting rejected eventually. And then from there, like, after all those dates, you learn how to tell better stories, how to present yourself, how to dress, how to act in your own way, but also in a way that is attractive to a partner. From there now, like, those rejections, like, if I got rejected one or two dates in, like, I don't even really care anymore. I just think it wasn't a good fit, right? But back in the day, if I got rejected and failed at the first one or two dates, like, I would be like, it would bother me for a long time. But now I kind of just brush it off. I'm like, okay, like, it just wasn't a good fit, on to the next one, right? And because I'm confident that I'm able to achieve those next levels in the dating phase just from my past experience. And the reason I'm able to get to those past experiences in my mind is because I failed so many times where I ultimately achieved that level of success. But those are kind of just 3 stories of failure from my life that have really changed who I am as a person and helped me level up as an individual. And I think failure is a very normal part of life, but a lot of people are scared of failure because that feeling of failure doesn't feel good, I'll tell you that. But once you do that enough, that pain is a lot more numb these days. And I feel like the most successful people I see online and in my own life, they try the most and they fail the most, but guess what? They always get back up. Like, they failed, just keep trying until something works. Keep learning, keep trying, because sometimes the best teacher in life is failure, and you're not going to learn at a high clip if you aren't trying and failing more. So don't give up. Keep trying, improving, and I think failure is so important, because if you fail and you're not improving, you're gonna be stuck at the same point that you are. Like, for example, in the in the kind of interview candidate cycle, if you're not able to master the recruiter screen, you're not gonna be able to level up to the next hiring manager level, and that applies to a lot of aspects in life, right? If you're not able to learn from this failure, you first need to be able to fail, and then you need to be able to learn from it, and that allows you to level up. But thanks for tuning into this stream of thought video. I hope you guys learned something from it, and I'll see everybody in the next one.